In this age of technology and social media, we are able to keep in touch with people like never before. Although this is very convenient, we often use shorthand and abbreviations, which have had an overall negative impact on our writing skills. It is especially important to incorporate the principles of written communication in formal writing. Let's review them together. Writing is a core communication skill. If you have good writing skills, you're able to use language effectively and express yourself clearly. Written communication can refer to note-taking, composing an email, editing an assignment, a shopping list, and writing a report, amongst much more. Attention to writing conventions go a long way in ensuring our messages have maximum impact. Before we look at some fundamental principles, let's review the pros and cons of written communication. Written communication does not always have to be delivered on the spot, unlike verbal communication. This means that we can take our time to compose and edit written messages to achieve the desired effect. Written communication serves as a record of messages conveyed. They can be saved for reference, evidence, or proof if required. This is why writing is most often used for business correspondence. When dealing with facts, figures, and important details, it is important to review a message properly before reverting with a response. When communicating with several people at once, written communication is most efficient as it saves time and you can ensure that the same message is conveyed to everyone. Finally, written communication is useful when communicating with people who have different fluency levels, as it helps reduce the chances of misinterpretation. Although you get the luxury of time with written communication, this means that you may expect some delay in response. Feedback is not always immediate, leading to uncertainty or frustration at times. Because written communication is not instant, there can be a chance of misinterpretation as you are not able to clarify instantly, unlike when communicating verbally. This often arises from how the tone of a written message is interpreted. Finally, written communication takes longer to compose, and this is a difficult process for some. It's essential to know how to communicate clearly and concisely. We have already reviewed the 7 C's of communication, which should be followed to ensure your message is effective. Let's now review a helpful framework specific to written communication. Before you begin, you must be aware of who your audience is. For communication to be effective, it should be relevant to your audience and they must understand the information presented. Your style of writing will vary depending on who you are writing to and the purpose of communication. If you are writing to friends and family, an informal tone is normally used. However, for business correspondence, a formal tone is required. For example, if your message is directed at primary school children, it must be written in simple language that resonates with them. Now, if you are a doctor and explaining a diagnosis to a patient with no science background, it would be best to keep the technical language and medical jargon to a minimum. By choosing the best format for your message, you can increase its impact. Format plays an important role in how easy the message is to read and what the key takeaways are for the audience. If you are writing to someone directly, a letter is often the best format, and you should follow letter writing protocol. If you are writing a report that includes lots of facts and figures, then the appropriate format may be a document with tables, charts, and bullet points instead of long paragraphs. Written correspondence should be structured in a logical way. Your message needs a clear introduction, contents, and conclusion, so it's easy to follow and comprehend. It is helpful to plan an outline of your structure before writing the content, particularly for long pieces of communication. Now, how much information or detail does your audience need? When it comes to content, less is more. Only include what is required to get your message across. Leave out anything extra that may detract from the focus of your message. Now, this is one of those things that just cannot be emphasized enough. Proofreading is extremely important and should never be rushed or ignored. In fact, important documents should be proofread twice. Once your message is complete, you should proofread for correctness, content, and flow, We know all about the importance of this from the 7 C's. Also, keep the acronym GPS in mind. GPS stands for grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Like an effective GPS helps to guide us to the correct destination, simple errors in our writing immediately signal a lack of attention to detail. We have a tendency to rely on automated spelling and grammar checks, but they do not always pick up on words that are spelled correctly but used in the incorrect context. Now let's have a look at some common grammar mistakes that people make so that we can avoid them in the future. Your is possessive, as in, is that your pen? While your with an apostrophe is a contraction for you are, as in, you're late for the meeting. Now what's the difference between it's with an apostrophe and without? Without an apostrophe, it's is possessive, as in, its button is red. With an apostrophe, it becomes a contraction for it is, as in, it's a beautiful day. Now the 3 theirs, which are often mixed up. There is an adverb meaning in or at that place, as in, there is the supermarket. There is the possessive form of they, as in, their house has a beautiful garden. And the last one with an apostrophe is a contraction for they are, as in, they're coming over for dinner tonight. Now for affect and effect. Affect is a verb and means to influence, as in, the noise affected his work. Effect is a noun and means result, as in, this medicine has terrible side effects. Then and than. Then is an adverb which refers to a time, as in, we went shopping and then had dinner. Than is used in a comparison and is a conjunction, as in, he is taller than his dad. And the final example, words ending with Y. Country apostrophe S is possessive, as in, the country's population is 1 million. Countries with an IES is the plural form of country, as in, there are 196 countries in the world today. The same pattern can be applied to company, family, and so on. Now that we've gone through this framework in detail, do follow it for effective writing. Also, remember the 7 C's when you are writing to make sure that you're communicating as effectively as possible. Never underestimate the importance of proofreading. And remember, like most things, the more you practice, the better you will get.